Hello, guys. Welcome to the third episode of Talk with Arjun, and we had a very special guest with us today, Mr. Kritarth Mittal. And this guy is really amazing. I mean, he's a software engineer in a big tech company. Then he runs his two startups. He's a really busy person. We talked about different topics such as what are startups, which startups are coming up in India, what are the future ideas of the startups, which startups are doing good in 2021, and stuff like this. Apart from this, I learned a lot from the life of Kritarth Mittal, and it was really amazing to learn this stuff. To learn yourself, you should watch the full podcast, and now go watch it. Hello, Kritarth. Welcome to the third episode of Talk with Arjun. And how are you doing?
Hi, Arjun. I'm doing great. What about you?
Yeah, I am doing good. So, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Okay, so I'm Kritarth Mittal. I've been brought up in Indore, and for 16 years I've been in Indore. But I moved to Chennai for pursuing my bachelor's in CSE. I did BTech in CSE, and now I am working as a full-time software developer at Nielsen. Parallelly, I run two other startups. One is a product-based company, which is Inception Wave, and one is a service-based startups. Everything related to graphic design, we do it there. It's called PG Studios. And during the course of running Inception Wave, I interacted with a lot of students. So I've mentored a lot of students across the nation. I have worked as a mentor at Inactus as well, if you know about it. And
Okay,
yeah, I like to interact with a lot of founders. So I with time I gradually learned the networking skills and
okay,
like strong networking skills I developed.
okay. So, uh, Kritarth, what is a startup according to you?
uh, okay, like it's a good question. So startups are often misinterpreted as somewhat money making business, but business is something you can flip quickly. You can buy a real estate, you can flip it and make money out of it. Personally, what I consider is startup is something which tries to solve problem, which tries to ease some pain point in the society. It can be anything. It can be by maybe making a system more efficient, making maybe things lesser expensive, like a cheaper or something like that, something which solves a problem rather than just flipping things or making quick money. It's a progress, I believe. Startups or something
Okay,
like that.
okay. So, can you explain your startups?
Okay, so one of the startups that I mentioned, Inception Wave, is it is a registered company. We started back in 2019. I think we started its ideation and research stage back in around 2017 itself. We got it registered in 2019.
Okay,
Now, what Inception Wave is, what we were doing at Inception Wave, we were building a social media platform with the name Grapido, which was derived from the term rapid growth. So it was
okay,
Grapido, and the idea was to help students collaborate among themselves and with the people from the industry. Now,
okay.
like how it was different from any other platform. Like
Hmm,
there are a lot of platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and all those platforms, but these are mostly for casual purposes, right? When you think about professional platforms for professionals, you mostly rely on LinkedIn. That's where you can find the
hmm,
right set of audience.
hmm,
But still, what happens is when you are studying in a college, you do not know a lot of things. You do not have all the set of skills that is required to build an industry scale
hmm,
product, right? You might be very good at one of the skills, but to build a whole
hmm,
company out of it, you need several skills. And
hmm,
if you don't have that, you need people to complement it,
hmm,
right?
hmm,
So that was the problem with that is the problem that generally a lot of college
hmm,
students face. And on the
hmm,
second end, if even if you have a very great idea, you have done that research, you still need somebody to work on it, right? But you
hmm,
might not have a lot of capital to hire freelancers.
hmm.
So that was the basic problem statement we started working on. What we planned to do is we built a social media platform so that
Okay.
people around you, whoever around you, has similar skill sets, so that you can
Hmm.
learn from them, or maybe you can mentor them, you can interact
Okay.
with those people, or
Hmm.
you can or sort of complementary interest. Now what I mean by
Hmm.
complementary is, maybe I am very good at graphic design, I am very good at UI UX, I can make a very
Hmm.
fancy website, I can make it very attractive, and there I can find a person who is very good at backend, so that
Hmm.
we two individually might not be able to build something very nice, but if we come together, if we get to know that the other person exists or is
Hmm.
resides by the side of my room only,
Hmm.
we'll know that okay, we can collaborate and we can come across, like we can do something together, because there are a lot of introverts or ambiverts who wouldn't, go around interacting with a lot of people, and they would never know, or it would take a lot of time for them to get comfortable around people
Hmm.
and understand what they exactly
Hmm.
want to do. So that was the gap we are trying to fix, since like it's a collective growth, you don't have to invest a lot of money, and even
Okay.
like from the very initial stages you can start your entrepreneurial journey, or anything. It can be anything. If you are a music
Hmm.
producer, you can connect with somebody who is a
Hmm.
lyricist or singer, something like that. So
So,
that's what Inception Wave was about.
okay. So, why 99% of startups fail in India?
I won't say it's just in India, because I think it's overall, like the
Hmm.
complete population would say that 99% of the startups fail, and the reason why startups failed can be like segregated into two very different reasons. One, it's a crowded market out there,
Hmm.
right? You cannot believe that you will always win, or everybody is going to
Hmm.
win, because ideas are very redundant. You will come up with one of the ideas, I'll come up with a somewhat different idea, but somehow we all have to
Hmm.
reach the same goal, because we
Yeah.
understand market fit, like market fit
Hmm.
is here. So we all will try to go to the same position. So again, just like any other competitive exam or any other thing, somebody has
Hmm.
to drop out, or only there can be a few set of winners, right? So
Hmm.
that is one reason, that there are a lot of redundant
Hmm.
ideas. And me being a user, say I listen to music, I would
Hmm.
just use two or three platforms like Spotify, Sawan, or
Hmm.
any of those platforms. Rest of the music platforms, no matter how much they are work, or how big is their team, I won't care. I would care
Hmm.
less. So that is one reason, and the other reason is people are not able to persevere, right? There are a
Hmm.
lot of companies who took, like if you think about Zomato, it took years and years to come, like to stand at a stage where they would do crores of IPO, right?
Hmm.
So people do not have that patience, or the like probably patience or the perseverance it takes.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like it's a very tough journey. So people
Hmm.
often like give up on that, or maybe they want a easy way out, so they just switch, or they
Hmm.
switch to job culture, or they
Hmm.
maybe go to their uh, uh, parents business or something like that. So I think that is one of the reason that startups often fail.
Okay. Okay. Uh, so you have a very busy schedule. I mean, can you please tell our audience what works you do actually? I mean, how many things are you employed in right now?
Okay, so like as I'm a full-time software development engineer, I had to spend almost half of my day, like from around 10 a.m. to almost 6-7 p.m. That is the minimum. It can go up to 8 to 9 p.m. Depends on the work.
Okay.
So at that time, I work as a software developer at Nielsen. I write codes, and after that, I had to run my startups. I have to, since our startup is mostly um, you know a huge network of college students, we have to interact with a lot of people, and if
Hmm.
I am not the person who is interacting with all the college students,
Hmm.
I have to interact with POCs and the core
Hmm.
members who are actually like taking care of all these people in the network.
Hmm.
So that those things happen, and then recently I jumped into content creation or personal branding industry. So recently I'm spending a lot of time on Twitter, because there's a
Okay.
sort of relaxation from the startup side as of now. So I'm
Hmm.
spending a lot of time on Twitter, and like gradually I'm trying to build a strong presence on
Hmm.
Instagram as well. I've been very active on LinkedIn maybe 2 years ago, but now the reach is sort of dead, so I'm trying to regain that engagement ratios. So I'm
Okay.
working parallelly on that.
Okay. So that is very nice. Uh, Question came just in my mind. So, many of the, I mean, most of the entrepreneurs are working for their ideas. But I recently read the news that more than 80,000 of startups are new which are coming up in India. So is this good for the society, or it is bad for the entrepreneurs that competition is increasing day by day? So what are your
I
thoughts
think
on it?
competition is always good, right? It obviously depends on your perception of how competitive you are. Like if there's no competition, obviously you won't try to improve whatever you are trying to do, and that is bad for the client, or that is bad for the customer. So I think competition is like often good. Obviously, it affects mental health. All the entrepreneurs have to, travel a long way to reach at some specific milestone, but it often filters out the people who shouldn't be at the top, right? If you are not
Hmm.
competitive enough, you cannot believe that you are going to stay there. So I think
Hmm.
it's good. Obviously, uh, a lot of entrepreneurs need to understand that their any idea is not a startup, or
Hmm.
every idea of theirs might not be what is going to turn into a unicorn or a billion-dollar industry, right? So obviously, when you are starting up, if you are an entrepreneur, you should think in those sorts, that there are a lot of roadblocks that are going to come your way. But in terms of overall society's progress, I think it's very good. The competition makes I think there's a saying that need is the mother of
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
something like that. There was this saying.
Okay.
So I think competition is like the best thing that can happen for the society.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So uh, actually, I was listening one of the podcast of Ankur Wariku, and I just came it there a question came that uh, why startups should not be started up in college. Why is that? I mean, in Ankur Wariku himself said that yeah, it's not a good idea. Why people say these things?
Uh, since Ankur Wariku said it would sound whether like very like I have a very contrary opinion to that. I
Hmm.
think it's very good if you start at a very early age, because it depends on the entrepreneur, but it is not always about the fame or the money and all those things. You have a wholesome or a you get a holistic understanding of the market, as well as you grow. You develop a lot of skills that you might not develop during your college academics or during your schooling and all those things. So I think if you are at an early stage, you have like wall to fall back on. Your parents are going to pay for you. You do not have a wife or a kid to take care of. You do not have all these complications which will put you in a which will confuse you whether I should go for it or not. You are completely free because you are being taken care of. And if you do well at that time, it's great. If you don't, you will learn a lot by the time you are out of college, or by the time you are 25 or 30.
Hmm.
So I believe that it is like amazing if you are doing a startup. I have a
Hmm.
lot of respect for people who start very early. They might
Hmm.
fail, I don't care about it. They
Yeah.
might fail, they might have a lot, but they would learn a lot of things, and they would actually understand how people react, or how they can cope up with different types of things that happens. So I myself started in the third year of
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
college itself. So I
Okay.
think people should not like it's not for the namesake you shouldn't
Yeah.
start,
Yeah.
but obviously if you have an idea and if you have a
Idea.
vision,
Hmm.
timing shouldn't be the case.
Hmm. So, according to you, what are the industries which are growing up in 2020 and 2021, which can be the latest startups in India or in the world?
I think like recent, if you look at the crypto,
Hmm.
right, how crypto is very fluctuating like anything.
Hmm.
So crypto is just a branch or a subset of blockchain. I think blockchain has a lot of tremendous scope in the industry,
Hmm.
and I've watched a few TED talks as well on that, which were
Hmm.
really influencing for me. I started learning about blockchain and cryptocurrencies as well. So I
Hmm.
think blockchain has a lot of scope, and I think some with time it is going to be widely accepted, and we'll see internet 3.0.
Hmm.
And apart from that, I think artificial intelligence is no more very visionary
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
technology. I
Yeah.
think it's
Hmm.
already out there. Everything we have
Hmm.
around is somehow integrated with artificial intelligence. And I think IoT and cloud computing is also already
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
It's
Hmm.
not. I think IoT would be something that will become affordable, every normal household will have smart technology, smart
Hmm.
devices, not just
Hmm.
smartphones, but also
Smart
refrigerators, lights,
devices.
and all
Yeah,
those
yeah, yeah.
things.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it would become very um, affordable, and everybody would be having that.
Hmm.
So I think
I think so.
you
It
and
would be a
also
necessity. I mean, due to smartphones, people are being lazy enough. So that there is Amazon and then there is Zomato. And after the IoT will come, the people will become more lazy and it will become necessary. I think so.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it has it's a both sides of a coin. You become more
Hmm.
productive, you have much more
Yeah,
data to
yeah. Hmm.
process, you have a lot of insight, so you can make better assessment, better analysis. But obviously on the other hand, you are getting
Hmm.
more comfortable as the new technology comes in.
Hmm. So, have you heard about the Lambda schools? Uh, Elon
uh,
Musk has just started it.
yeah, I heard about it. I don't have a very deeper
Okay,
understanding,
okay.
but what I know is that he will get his own children learn
Yeah,
study
yeah,
there,
yeah.
because that will, yeah.
So Lambda schools are a type of schools in which you will get admission on the basis of your knowledge, not basis on of your grades, and you also have to pay the fees only when your job is done. I mean, when you are applied for the job and you are selected, the full fees of the college or the school will be paid only then. So these are quite innovative, I think, and so yeah. So uh, when an entrepreneur just clicks with the idea of a startup, what goes in his mind, in his or her mind?
I think as soon as you conceptualize an idea, you are maybe you just get a first hand experience of some problem statement that is out there. You obviously think like how you can fix it, and oftentimes we think that we have an idea, but probably that is already out there, right? Somebody is working on it. It can be any huge industry that you might already know, like I thought that some delivery problem is there, and when I look at it, Amazon and a lot of companies are already doing that. But sometimes there are a lot of stealth mode startups that are working behind the scenes, and we don't know about it. So I think as soon as the entrepreneurs have this tick that they have an idea, they should do some sort of research to figure out whether somebody else is already doing it, or if it is sustainable. Like many people want to work in the social sector, many people want to work on ideas which would help the
Hmm.
society, but they do not think whether they'll be able to sustain it. Like um, for example, I want to impart education, but
Hmm.
and I think I'll be able to set up schools, and I'll be able to hand over the devices to
Hmm.
people living in rural areas. But I need to figure out how I will be able to do it. How will I get all the capital?
Hmm.
Will I be able to sustain if something goes sideways? How will I persevere?
Hmm.
So all those things has to be taken care of.
Hmm. Okay. So so that's it for our podcast. Um, any final messages for our audience?
uh, I think I covered pretty much of it. If you have
Hmm.
an idea, go for it. One thing, go for it. Do not worry about failing. If you are if you are very young, if you are just starting out, probably you will have a tremendous amount of experience. Even if you fail, you will develop a lot of network. You will develop a lot of relationships. You will know a lot of people who would probably invest in you at later stages. So I think if you're young, if you're just starting out, don't worry about failures. Second thing is, obviously, if you have a startup, please do a proper background research. And other thing is, like, people go to their relatives or friends to do a market validation, that I have this idea, and you tell me if this will work out, or you tell me if you will pay for it or not. So friends and these people have inherent bias towards you. They'll always try to encourage and support you. So probably don't reach out to these people. Try to reach out to people who are from the industry, or people who is your target audience, but you two don't know each other very personally. So they'll be able to give you brutal feedbacks, and you will be able to actually improve your idea rather than going with whatever you started out with.
So thank you very much, Kirtat, for this amazing podcast we did right now. So
Thanks.
bye.
Thanks for
Okay.
having.
Thank you for watching the full podcast till here. I hope that you learned a lot of stuff. If you like the video, do click on the like button and please subscribe the channel. Stay tuned for more and more updates about different podcasts which are coming up. And I am launching my solo podcast as well. You will learn a lot from that. So stay tuned.